All right. Welcome everyone to Trading Coach's Playbook. Let's see. Oop, almost forgot the video. So let's get started. As usual, we'll start with the disclaimer. This is all about education, so nothing should ever be seen as advice or recommendation. Since it is about education, of course, any trades we talk about should always be considered as non-funded. We all know trading involves risk, so we want to limit that risk as much as we possibly can. And Freedom Management Partners personnel are not subject to trading restrictions. All right. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Thomas. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Helen. All right. Everybody's in the house. Let's see what's on the calendar. So we've got inner circle activities with our monthly. Oh, I forgot to change that. Our monthly coming up on the 24th. That's at 7. We will not be having a check-in. We'll start our monthly at 7 instead, and then a week after that we'll start our check-ins again at 7 per usual. Of course, mastermind group meets on Tuesdays at 8. Next one's the 25th. Let's see. Week after Thanksgiving, we've got Q&A with Brandon for SPX Cash Flow Secrets on the 1st at 8. And then the next week will be our next iteration of Trading You with on December 8th. Uh-oh, Boss Man's in the house. And then we've got our free stuff with Power Hour on Mondays and this Trading Coaches Playbook on Fridays. And of course, not to be forgotten, what I like to call our greatest hits, Pop, E-Mini Think Tank, and Covered Call Explorer. All right, we got our free stuff that you can find on the Follow Us page on all the major social media platforms. And definitely don't forget about the Trading Post. Awesome way to start the morning. And let's see, got a couple things here. We've got a class from Tony, Trading Signals, the Trader's Edge. So go check that out. And we've got Monster Market Movers. This is a great class. I've been doing this class since I think I was a child, maybe. From way back when. Um, and yeah, if you've never done it, or if you hadn't done it in quite a while, you can get into your first one for $49. So that's a can't beat price. It's a 2 hour class that Rob spends many, 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 many hours preparing for, and it's awesome. Lots of cool education and tons of candidates. So, with that out of the way, we'll start as I usually do. Anybody got any questions or comments to throw out just in general? And while everyone is furiously typing, we'll move on to our next piece, which is our review. So, what happened? Wow. Um, yeah, what a day yesterday, huh? We were talking in the lab this morning. Interesting. Look at the openings for yesterday's humongous candle and the big one on the 10th. Almost the same. A little bit slightly higher on the 10th and definitely lower yesterday. And for those of you unaware, of course, NVIDIA had earnings and they turned out really well. And that's a lot of this gap. And it kind of kept going and then said, no, I don't think so. Could be a number of things. Bitcoin is still moving down. Some Fed people talked about not cutting rates because the jobs were doing better. So that caused it to go down. And then, of course, this morning somebody said, "Oh, well, yeah, we could cut rates." So, as I call it, the blathering continues between all of the Fed folks. So we'll just have to wait and see because I think, gosh, the possibility for a cut. And let me bring that up real quick. So for those of you unaware, go check out the Fed Watch, CME Fed Watch. It was like at 30, 40% yesterday, and now it's back up to 73. So the current rate is 375 to 4. So to take it down to 350 to 375 would be a quarter point cut, which is what a lot of people expect. I am in the crowd of I'd kind of like to see them maybe not do it in December and see how it all give it a little bit more time to work itself out what they've done up to this point, and then maybe crank it back up in January and maybe January and March we could do a couple of cuts to get the four that they promised or expected for this year that we're obviously not going to get because they're not going to do a half point cut in December. If they do, something's really wrong. But anyway, yeah, very interesting site to watch right there. I like to watch that one. Let's see. But yeah, lots and lots of news. And then I did not do an update on my Omega charts before we joined today. So let's go take a quick look at let's see, let's look at this one. There's all my morning scalps candidates. There's my morning screen, and there's the SPX. Come on. So hey, so it took off since well, it's the last half hour. So something's going on. I'm not sure what. I'll go take a quick look while we're in here. But yeah, it was kind of flat-ish, a little down-ish this morning, and then boom, something happened. I know there was some announcements at 10, but that was University of Michigan stuff that I don't know how important that really is. Somebody from the Fed might have said something. So we'll see. I don't see anything on my news. Looks like retail and consumer stocks are outperforming, so that might be something. All right. So yeah, there you go. All the way back up to 66.16, which on the big chart is right about there. So about a third of the way up yesterday's humongous candle down. So could be short covering, could be any number of things, could be news. We'll go look maybe later. So let's move on to obviously, we also take a look at the VIX, which is our volatility indicator, and boom! I think it's down 25 ish. Let's see, 24.33. So it's down quite a bit. It got up to 26.42 last night at the close, yesterday afternoon at the close, and it's moving its way back down to about here. So I like it down in here. So I would definitely like to see it move down a little bit more. That's a little bit high for me, but it's definitely good for selling for all you covered call folks out there. Which we didn't have a lot of last night, did we? We didn't have a lot of covered calls with naked puts, but surprisingly, we had a whole bunch of put diagonals. Yeah, guess why? That humongous candle. So anyway, let's see. What else do we have on the agenda? Of course, earnings. We always want to talk about earnings when it's important. We're starting to wind out of earnings. Instead of sharing my slide I get from Earnings Whisper, which was last week, I kind of built a little one myself. So coming up next week, we've got a few, not a lot. Monday is Lotus, Symbotic, Zoom, Agilent. Those are some known companies. Tuesday, we got quite a few. Baba, Abercrombie& and Fitch, Kohl's, Best Buy, Burlington, Dick's Sports, Dell, Workday, Autodesk, Amba, Urban Outfitters, HP, NetApp, and one of my favorites, Woof, which is Petco, for all of you that don't know. And then Wednesday, we've got Deere and LI Auto, which is Chinese automaker in the morning. And then, yeah, not a lot after that. I wonder why. So, yeah, obviously, we got Thanksgiving on Thursday and Black Friday on Friday. Now, the market will be open here. The market is open Friday until 1 p.m. So you can trade. I would expect volume to be very, 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 very low. But you never know. Something might happen. So there you go. There's a little bit of an update on the SPX and the VIX and earnings and all kinds of stuff. So, what are we going to talk about today? Do you know yourself? One of my little quotes is "Trader, know thyself," right? Um, how well do you really know yourself? You know, do you really need to know yourself as a trader? If you do not, the market is a very expensive place to find out. It's the market can be an expensive teacher, right? I think at least some of us, if not all of us, have discovered that. So I'll start with some of the obligatory definitions as I like to do. So what is self? So self has a lot of different definitions: an individual's typical character or behavior, union of elements that constitute the individuality and identity of a person. Well, that's a mouthful. Personal interest or advantage. So yeah, but what we're really going to talk about is evaluating ourselves as traders. That's why this class is called Trading Evaluation. So, what is evaluation? So, evaluation, of course, the act or result of evaluating. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I always have to throw that stupid definition that's the first one in every dictionary, right? Act of placing a value on the nature, character, or quality of something. Okay. An opinion on the nature, quality, character, or quality of something, and determination of the value, nature, or quality of something or someone. Those make sense to me. This is really what we're after is finding that value, finding that um yeah, that value. So, what does trader evaluation entail? It has a lot of different pieces, parts. So, we'll start with a purpose or goal. So, why are you trading? Are you trying to replace your JOB? Are you trying to supplement your income? Are you doing something else, trying to make money for a toy? Are you trying to build your retirement to prepare for not doing your JOB? Why are you trading? What do you want from trading? So this kind of these obviously go together in determining what is your intent, what is your purpose, what do you want? Do you want cash flow? Do you want wealth building? Are you looking at retirement? Excuse me. I think I got an eyelash in my eye. Are you looking for something else? And I think a lot of people will have the same answer to these questions as I do. And the question is yes. Some combination of many or all of these is what a lot of us are after, right? So again, finding yourself, you know that one's going to come up. What about your trading types and your time frames? Scalping, which is seconds to minutes, day trading, which is in and out on the same market prior to market close, same day, intraday, swing trade, which is multiple days to multiple weeks, position trading, which can be several weeks to several months, and then of course there's always the buy and hold investors who are probably looking at fundamentals. We've also got event-driven trading, like news or earnings or other announcements, maybe a Fed announcement, and a newer one to the list, although not newer a while ago, um, algorithmic trading, where you're using robots and computer systems and expert systems to uh, do your trading for you. That's kind of a black box, which can be a little dangerous. You got to be careful of that because a lot of times a black box works for a little while and then it stops. But it does affect the market, so you always want to be aware of it. And of course, there is other, and then there is my answer, which is several of these. Of course, when I first started, I was a swing trader, and scalping absolutely terrified me. And now I'm a scalper, and swing trading absolutely terrifies me. Funny how the market changes. Now, I say that jokingly. Now, I don't invest a little bit, but not very much. My position trades are usually some sort of diagonal, like we do in Cover Call Explorer. Might do some swing trades out of pop. Most of what I'm doing that's not covered call explorer related is scalping. It's the Hakanashi scalp you hear people talk about that we do a lot of in the Inner Circle Lab Monday, Tuesday, and Friday mornings. I'm getting better at leaving a runner, which kind of becomes maybe a de facto day trade. It can go for a longer period of time for maybe that last contract where you scale out and leave one if the pattern looks right, right? So there you go. Lots of other things. Yeah, I do a periodic event trade as well. Maybe I I have played with several different times. I've gotten it to work and then it stops working. You know, the repeatability of it is in question with a trade around Fed announcement. And it's kind of like the old chicken trade from better trades, where you buy a call and you buy a put, and hopefully market moves a whole lot in one direction, and it doesn't matter what the downside cost you because you made so much on the upside. Um, what I have found and watching this is a lot of times there is a move from the announcement, and then there is a opposite move almost back to where it started on the press conference. Not always, but a lot of times. So I trade that every once in a while. And earnings. Sometimes I will trade morning announcement earnings in the lab, if we get the opportunity. If I'm looking for something and not finding good scalps, I might look for something like that. And then, of course, last on this page, but certainly not least, is your risk profile. And for those of you that were in Traders Super Summit, I hope you all filled out that very uh, uh, long list of questions, in particular about risk profile that Rob gave us. We actually spent, gosh, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks in the check-in filling out all those questions for ourselves because it's something I'd never done. You know, I kind of knew what my risk profile was, but I'd never gone that deep into it. I learned a lot. So you want to figure out, are you aggressive? Are you conservative? Are you somewhere in the middle? Does it depend on the strategy and the setup? That could be a thing. Do you like breakouts, or do you are you a retest, regression type trader? Of course, Rob's almost exclusively the retest trader. Um, I'm doing retest on um, a lot of stuff that I do either with Pop or with Cover Call Explore, but the Hakanashi scalp by definition is a breakout trade. So I do a little bit of both. High volatility, low volatility. Obviously, you want momentum, which may or may not go with volatility, but high volatility usually is good for selling, and low volatility is usually good for buying. That's a generalization that there's plenty of examples where that's not the case, but these are just some of the things you want to take into account when you are figuring out and defining your own risk profile. Um, and there's other things, most of my lists will have other somewhere in there because I won't even pretend to think that I can list everything that's necessary or available in any given category, right? All right. So, what about some more stuff? What about your trading frequency and what markets are you using? And when I say frequency, I'm talking about how often you trade. Are you a full-time trader? Is it your primary income? Are you just a part-time trader where maybe that's another income stream? Are you doing position management like with a retirement portfolio? Are you doing something else? Are you doing all of these? Right? So for me, um, it is not my primary income, but it is more than a part-time income. It is my second of three streams of income. And that's where I'm a big believer, and you'll hear Uncle Warren Buffett, talk about having multiple streams of income because if one of them is affected negatively or even worse, goes away completely, you need to have something in place to make up for it, right? So it's always good to have multiple streams of income, as many as you can handle. Some people can handle a bunch, some people can handle one or two. So wherever you are, figure that out. And then I've got position management stuff that I'm doing with my retirement account, but that's mostly around diagonals and some a few um, longer positions. So, what about your markets? What markets are you in? What instruments do you use? Obviously, almost all of my stuff is equities. I do a little bit of futures stuff. Way back in the day, I've done Forex, but anything I'm doing with currency now, I'm probably doing with either probably futures, maybe an ETF. And then, of course, always the crypto bros out there, bros and gals. Um, and then derivatives on all of those. There are derivatives on everything. Nowadays, there's derivatives on derivatives. And that's options. So for here, we've got your equities, your actual stocks or ETFs, and then you've got your derivatives, which is your call options and your put options. On your futures, you've got derivatives, and Brandon actually has a class that will teach you how to trade spreads in the futures market. Um, like I said, I don't do a lot of forex, but it's out there. There are other markets out there. Used to be one. It was called binary, and it was basically um, you had a price, and your it was really a bet. You bet whether it was going to make it to that price or not. And as the name says, it was binary. It was a one or zero, on or off, win or lose. I actually did a little bit of that way back in the day, and yeah, it's there were systems out there for it, but it's pretty close to gambling. I did not spend a lot of time in that. It was not for me. I'm not sure if it's still around, but I'm betting it probably is somewhere. So yeah, lots of different choices as to what you're using in your trading, right? So, what else? What about your brokerage account and your platform? Those are very important pieces to what you're doing. Make sure that you understand your account or accounts. What type of accounts do you have? Are you using personal account? Are you using an entity account? Are you using some other account? Are you using all of them? The number. Do you have more than one account? I have more than one account. Um, and I use them for different things. Again, how do you use them? Are you using them for cash flow? Are you using them for wealth building, retirement, or something else? And you always want to consider your fees and commissions when you are evaluating what brokerage to use. I don't use them in my rate of return, but I do use them in my accounting. Obviously, you have to. And then I left the middle one in there for last. Size. What size account do you have? The reason I say that is because I know for myself, I know my own psychology well enough from the journey that I have been on that I can't have a huge account. So let's take my scalping account as an example. When it gets to a certain point, I scrape money off of it and put it somewhere else, whether it's in my bank account or in another trading account or whatever. I keep that in a range because I know that if I don't have enough, then I'm going to miss opportunities. But if I have too much and it gets too big, I do stupid things. And I know that for myself. Um, I don't know if it's, Superman complex or what, but I think it was Trader Will that said this. You know, if you have a number, whatever it is, whether it's psychological or subconscious or whatever it is, if there's a number, whether you keep it at that number or the market keeps it at that number is your choice because that's what'll happen. You'll do something, as I say, I will do something stupid and bring that number back down to where it needs to be. So I'd much rather scrape it out and keep it. And it's not the money you make, it's the money you keep, right? So I'd much rather keep it. And then when it comes to your platform, that's one of your major tools. You have to know how to use it. So, do you know what it can do? Have you used it enough? Do you have enough experience that you can use it well? Does it do what it needs to do for you? And obviously, you want to take into account for brokerages and platforms your customer support and education. If your support is stinky, maybe you have enough experience and it's usable enough for you to keep it. Maybe not. So that's a decision you want to make, but you want to have all these things. This is part of your evaluation. Maybe you are evaluating your brokerage account and find out I don't need this one or I need another one. Maybe you're evaluating your trading platform and you're like, I don't like Fidelity anymore. I'm going to move to Tasty, whatever. Um, and when you are moving, you want to evaluate them. You want to try them out, make sure they've got a paper account. You always want to have a simulator so that you can try it out without spending any money, right? But also so that you can have that sandbox where you can try out new things as you learn new stuff, right? So what else? Lots of different pieces. Business plan, how the business or businesses are set up. So I hope everyone out there is treating their trading like a business because that's what you should do. So, business plan, do you have one? Do you have multiples for separate businesses? Do you have multiples for different time frames? And do you review them on a regular basis? We'll get into that towards the end of this. You always want to review your stuff and reevaluate. Evaluation is not a one-time shot. It's the old rinse and repeat, right? But you definitely want to have that business plan of how everything is laid out. And we'll get into some other plans in a minute, but I want to concentrate on this higher level plan of your business plan. What's your description? What's your mission? What's your purpose? What's your intention of this business? So you want to make sure you have that and you have it written down. Probably the first page of your business plan, right? What about your office or your workspace? Do you have one? Is it set up the way you need it to be set up? Um, does it work for you? In that workspace, do you have all the equipment do you need? A desk, chair, furniture, computers, monitors, phones, connectivity, just to name a few. Do you have space? Do you have an ability for privacy if you need it? Um, lots of different things, but definitely you want to have a chair that's comfortable. As you can see, I do not sit in a chair. I am standing. I'm at a standing desk. I've heard most people say, well, you've heard the saying, sitting is the new smoking. So you don't want to sit for too long. Maybe do a 50-10 or a 45-15 where you're sitting for 45 to 50 minutes and then stand up or walk around or do whatever for 10. Number one, it helps you break up your work. But I do the opposite. I stand for about 45 minutes and then I sit for about 15. Sometimes I forget and my hip or my knee will remind me I need to sit down. What about your capital? Do you have enough capital? Do you have what capital you need in your business plan? If you need more capital, do you have a plan inside your business plan to get more capital? Something to consider, right? What about your trading platform or platforms? Do you have more than one? Um, I use a separate one for my futures, and I want to learn more about Trading View. I haven't gotten there yet. My primary platform is Toss. But yeah, you can use other platforms. There are platforms out there like Trading View or eSignal that are only platforms, and you can either use them for your analysis and do your execution somewhere else, or you can attach your brokerage account to them and do your execution through that platform, but they are not the brokerage. Uh, what's your purpose? What's your goal? We talked about this a few minutes ago, but it's something that needs to be written down in your plan. What target are you trying to get to by doing all this, right? What about education? Do you have education? Do you have an education plan? Do you have a continual education plan? to keep going, to learn new stuff, to review what you already know so that you can pick up those nuggets. What about your risk profiles? Again, you've evaluated all this stuff and you figured out what it is. Have you written it into your business plan or your trading plan, which we'll get into in a minute? Strategies, what different strategies do you use? What different setups do you use? Um, and here's one that a lot of people don't think about: disaster avoidance and recovery. And go along with it, contingencies. So, do you have contingencies for all your stuff? Do you have a contingency for your computer if it starts to smoke? Do you have a contingency for your connectivity when your internet goes down, as you know it will? Um, do you have a contingency for when the electricity goes out? Do you have your brokerage numbers, telephone numbers for the trading desk in your cell phone so that you can call them and say, flatten everything? As I've said before, flatten is a strategy. And sometimes it's a very useful strategy. So, yeah, do you have your contingencies? Have you planned them out in advance and do you have them written down? Do you have do you have a desktop that you use as your primary computer and possibly a laptop, which is your backup, so that when your desktop gets a virus, you can move over to your laptop and close whatever you need to close or continue trading? Do you have internet capabilities, say through your cell phone, so that you can hotspot your cell phone into your laptop when the electricity goes out? Just some things to think about, contingencies. And anything else that can make you successful. Like I said, there's always an other category. So, here's some more documents, plans, etc. So, when I started with what I called trading plans and trade plans. So, a trading plan is really how you trade. Have you written out your trading plan? What daily routines do you use in your trading? What days or time periods do you trade or not trade? Um, and have you reviewed your plan recently? Again, review, reevaluate, rinse, repeat. So this is really your overall trading. Your trading plan, your business plan could be very similar. Um, Okay, Brenda says, speaking of laptops, TOS is saying it will no longer support Windows 10. Is there a way for me to get Windows 11 without having to buy a new computer? There definitely is, Brenda. What you'll want to do is just type it into Google or your search engine of choice, and it will probably take you to a Microsoft site. And that site will tell you how to evaluate recurring theme, right? How to evaluate your computer to know if it is capable of Windows 11. Now, there are computers out there that are not capable of Windows 11 upgrades. So you might be forced into new hardware, but not necessarily. There are also other options. You can buy support for Windows 10, but I don't know if TOS is not going to support it, then I don't know what you can do there. I find that very difficult to believe. I would actually, if you run into trouble and can't just simply do an upgrade to Windows 11 on your existing computer, um, I would call TOS and say, "Are you sure?" But because there are other ways around it. But okay, so Lan is saying he got the same message. I have not gotten that message yet, but that does not mean it has not come. So there you go. I'm on 11 on my trading computer, so it's not an issue for me. But I know a lot of people don't like 11 because it's very nosy. Um, um, oh, you get it every time you log in. Okay, well maybe I just didn't pay attention to it when I logged in last. Um, but Brenda, I can help you, but this is not really the arena for that. Um, But there's a lot of good resources out there um, um, that you could take advantage of, and you might have to spend a little money. I mean, that's kind of what comes with technology, right? But maybe we could do a class on some of that. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously not something. Yeah, so Les says receive the same message about Windows 10, but it says at the bottom of the message to continue on worked fine. And it will work fine right up until it doesn't, right? And we don't know when that'll be, unless the message says, do they have a cutoff date? Do they have a drop dead date of when they're going to stop? And the idea, um, is, what are they going to do? Are they just going to cut it off? Because even Microsoft has got a way to continue on with Windows 10 for a short period of time and buy support for 10 for up to a year, I believe. But there's some other things. I've got a friend that has found another workaround. He's more hardware tech than I am. I'm more software guy. Um, and he's found a way around it, but this is a different question than that because yeah, if TOS doesn't support it, then yeah. But yeah, you're right, Les. Give them some time to work out issues because there will be issues and they'll have to deal with that. Um, but that's probably why they're sending out this message because they might be running into things where they're updating their software and it's not working with 10. So that's the world of Windows, right? What you can do, another option, I prefer the desktop version of TOS, but they do have a web version. So you can take the operating system out of the equation and use the web version. The problem is it's not as robust. So you might also consider looking around at Schwab and on Thinkorswim, which is part of Schwab, and see what web um, versions of trading software they have that you might be able to utilize at least short term, if not even long term. I was told when I called TOS a couple of days ago that TOS supports from Windows 3 and up. Oh, that's interesting. So, and that's the problem. You get a different person with tech support, you get a different answer, right? That's when you ask them their name and maybe ask them if you can have their extension. But I don't want to go too deep down this hole, but it is part of what we're talking about for sure, and it's something that you have to take into account is upgrades. When do you need to upgrade your environment, your desk, your computer, your monitors, your connectivity, whatever? So it's all part of this, and the more you plan, you don't get surprised, right? That's really what this is all about, is not getting surprised because surprises don't usually work out well. So you want to plan for as much as you possibly can, and this is part of it. I would suggest trying to work with TOS first. And if you can't work with TOS, then you'll have to figure out what to do. But Brenda, for your initial question, the first thing you want to do is just Google Windows 11 upgrade, and it will take you to one of the very first entries will be a Microsoft site that will help you figure out can you upgrade to Windows, and then it'll take you to a place where you can download the upgrade and run it, and you're done. As long as your computer will handle it. Um, if you want to get into the weeds, though, there are some things that Windows is now doing, and especially with their latest 11 upgrade, which I'm trying to fight doing, where they're poking their nose into your stuff a little more than I would care for them to. But sometimes you don't have a choice, right? So back to evaluating us as ourselves as traders. What about I called it a trade execution plan or a trading plan versus a trade plan. And what I now call this is my recipe cards. This is your strategy creation system. This is your IME. So this is your rules and guidelines for whatever strategies or systems you're using. Like there's rules and guidelines for Cover Call Explorer. There's rules and guidelines for POP. There's rules and guidelines for E-mini Think Tank. For Trade Watch Alert. There's rules and guidelines for all these different tools. So, do you have one for each of your strategies? And I'm putting together strategies and setups. I know Amelia likes to split those apart, and semantically I understand why you want to, but for the purpose of this discussion, strategies and setups are the same thing. So it could be a long call, could be a long put, could be a spread, could be an iron condor, but it could also be a switchback or a Hakanashi or oh shoot, um Fibonacci four step, any of those things. Do you have multiple for different time frames? So do your rules change if your time frames change? Not, I don't think I have any that do that, but that's a possibility. Do you have any addendums for specific instruments? So maybe you have a set of rules for everything except for the spies and the cues, that they have an extra piece, as an example. Um, And have you reviewed these plans lately? Again, evaluate, review, reevaluate, rinse, repeat, whatever R word you want to use for that. There's a lot of R words, wasn't it? And trade journals. So I'm a big believer in this, and I say journals because I do have a couple, but you definitely want one. If you have nothing else, you have to have one, which is your records. So, where you're keeping your numbers because you want to keep track of your numbers, right? Do you have one or several? Now, for me, I have one that I do as I'm trading, where I'm keeping track of what's actually happening, whether it's a Hakanashi sheet or a Cover Call Explorer sheet or Pop sheet or something else. But I also have other journals um, where I mesh together my personal journal with my trading journal. And that's where I understand other things that can affect my trading. You've heard me talk about this before. It could be sleep, it could be exercise or movement, it could be nutrition, it could be something that's going on in your life that is distracting you and maybe you shouldn't be trading. All these different things that you want to make sure, like when things go against you, why did they go against you? Um, and how often do you use them? Do you use them every day? I hope you do. And how often do you review them? And this is where I get into, again, this is very important simply for the fact that you will find, just like you're looking at a chart and you see a pattern for an equity, you look at your journal or journals and you will find patterns of you as a trader. And you will find patterns that work for you and you want to double down on them, right? You will find patterns that do not work for you. So you need to find a way to adjust or mitigate those things. So that's where review becomes very important in these journals. And what information are you tracking? Is it trade records only? And that's fine. If that's all you need, then that's all you need for your data to have. But also, what about other things bigger than numbers? Reasons, emotion, health, environment, nutrition, etc. So there you go. And that's kind of really that's a great place to start with your evaluation of yourself as a trader. Then you get to reevaluation. So, in the reevaluation, this is the review and reevaluation of what you're doing. You're continuing appraisal. Have you reviewed your plans? Do you review your plans regularly? Are you doing it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually? I'm usually doing mine annually. I'm reviewing my plans annually. I used to do it quarterly, but I find that annually seems to work good enough for me. But you definitely want to review your numbers maybe weekly, maybe daily, weekly. I usually do mine weekly. How often do you review your journals? So again, and do you review and evaluate with others? Do you have a trading partner? Do you have a trading group? Do you have a mastermind group? Are you doing your review and evaluation with others so that you can get a third party's opinion? Maybe somebody else can say, um, I'm not talking about the number of trades. I'm talking about the numbers, as in your revenue and your costs and your entry points, your stops, your exit points. The actual, when I'm saying numbers, that's what I'm talking about. Now, your number of trades could be a part of that, but what I'm talking about is the actual accounting numbers for each trade. And a continuing development plan where you learn, master next is what I've got there, and that's where you pick one, learn it, master it. When you're ready, you've got it mastered. You're just jamming on it. Go to the next one, whether it is a strategy or setup or whatever. It could be an indicator, could be a tool. Are you back testing it to see how effective it can be? Practice it in your simulator, non-funded trading, right? Master that new strategy or indicator or tool or setup or whatever, and then maybe find the next one that you're ready to learn and master along the way. So these are some great tools I have found, great framework that I have found to use as an evaluation. And as I say, take what you like and throw away the rest. This is not by any sort some sort of magic pill, but it is a great starting point. So maybe start with this and find what you like and keep it, and maybe throw some of it away. Maybe add something that you like that's not in here. And of course, some resources for your trading development. We've got lots at Wealth Builders, whether it's education or trading or services or books. We don't have the books, but we can suggest them. If you're looking for education, obviously, Market Mornings, that's an old one. I need to throw that one out. We got Power Hour and Coaches Playbook, like this group. We've got Trading You, great place to start. Monster Market Movers, great place for candidates. Patterns in a Flash from Tony. Don't forget the mastermind groups; those are big when you get to that level. What about trading? We got Covered Call Explorer, the best. And then, of course, Pop and E-Mini Think Tank with Rob and Brandon. We've got services like Trade Watch Alerts with Tony, SPX Cash Flow with Brandon, and Gap Stats. And we've got a list of books in the trading resources on Wealth Builders website. Start with why. What's your purpose? You kind of need to know that, right? What's your mission? What's your business's mission? And I like The Disciplined Trader was one of the first trading psychology books that I read. And there's a lot of other ones out there. Lots of good books to pick from. So that's kind of the framework for evaluating yourself as a trader and maybe some tools that you can use along the way. And of course, it wouldn't be me without a couple extra slides at the end. And this one I did in Cover Call Explorer last night. And it was so good, I had to share it again. Control Alt Delete. Control yourself, alter your thinking, and delete negativity. So, for all you geeks like me out there. And words of wisdom from Uncle Warren, there are three currencies: time, money, and knowledge. Whichever you need, use the other two to get it. I love this. So, what we're doing here is we're using time to create knowledge, and we're using time and knowledge to make money, right? And you probably need to use the money and the time to get the knowledge, right? So there you go. All right, and that is the end of the slideshow presentation with one last peek at the old disclaimer. And we've got a few minutes left over, so yay. So let's end the slideshow. I'm gonna go ahead and shut that one down. One other thing I did want to share. Um, There she is. Brenda's throwing those candidates in. She's all over it. Grateful Thanksgiving deal. Your AI trading plan generator for $4.97. How appropriate is that for what we just got through talking about? So go check that one out. Under $5. So there you go. Lots of good stuff on this is tradinglikeaboss.com. This is where you can find all the cool free stuff. So there you go. All right. So let's take a look. I'm going to bring, whoop, where'd my cursor go? I'm going to bring my Omega charts over here and we're going to open up tab 2 and whoop, there it is, the cues. Um, I don't, you know what? I don't have today's candle on there. So instead of using Omega charts, sorry, I forgot to run my update beforehand. So let's back up and we'll do spies. So, of course, here's a huge move down yesterday and a little move up, down, down, down. And then today we've got the move up. So let's do this SSPY because I don't always keep my Fibonacci's on here. So here is the Fibonacci on the daily chart. So as you can see, we're about right there right now. So we're coming up. The 765 is right there. So we've hit it a couple times with some wicks. Um, so, if we settle out there, okay. So our upside targets would be 667 and 671. Our downside targets would be the 653. What is that? That is 9. So we don't need the Fibit there, although we might want to put the other colored 882 there in case we see a 4-step, but I think we've already blown through the 4-step. So anyway, yeah, so you've got that, and then we've closed below that, so we need to look to redraw as we move up. If this makes a nice V right here, which it looks like it's kind of doing over here, then maybe this is our next Fibonacci right here. Pretty close to the existing Fibonacci. So the existing Fibonacci will probably work. It's just that the levels will be reversed. Okay, and then we'll go back over here and look at the Qs. And we'll maximize that. And again, same as before, move up. So when we're doing here, let me do this. I want to do that and that and that. Where'd it go? Sorry. There we go. So we'll look at the Qs. So again, we're kind of flattening out after that move up off of whatever that was. And then we've got our daily. So we're looking at, of course, we've got our 600 level right here. That's always important. And our next Fibonacci, the 764, is right there at 637. So that's an important level. We're not up to it yet. So we're only about halfway right now. We're not even that off of the zero line for Fibonacci. Same thing as with the SPY though. We're probably looking to redraw. We're in the avenue to look to redraw. Um, oh, there you go. Um, but yeah, again, I'm not sure if that's the best Fibonacci. We might take just a reverse of what we've got. I'll have to dig into that one for the Qs. So the Qs is not quite as straightforward for the redraw, provided we get our V bottom, which we look to be getting right now. We got to wait for it to close, right? So for the Qs, our downside would be back down. Well, we're right there. So our downside, we're probably going to look at our previous fib. So our downside is probably going to be about 581 and 576. Our upside is going to be 600 and 607. So there you go. Some nice movement there, some nice room for movement. And then how about that? leave this open and we'll go to GLD, which is the gold ETF. And you know what? I'm going to do 3 days on that one because we had the big move down the day before and then kind of a continuation move down yesterday. And today it did very similar to the other ETFs. You got a big move up, but instead of going sideways, gave a bunch of it back. Okay. I don't trade a lot of GLD, so I'm betting there's not a oh, there is. How about that? So there's your Fibonacci. It's not too old, so that's good. I must have done that. Oh, I know. I think I did that from Monster Market Movers a couple months ago. Anyway, so we're kind of sitting in the middle of nowhere, but we are right at the eight. I'd like to see it get up to maybe 380 and roll over or get above it and bounce. That's kind of the closest fib level for right now. And it's sitting at 575. It got up to 77, so it got close. Yesterday it got up to the not 580, 380. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. It got up to the 380. It got close to it up here. Is that yesterday? Oh, day before yesterday. Sorry. There we go. Got up to it up here. Yeah, sorry. I'm missing a candle on my Omega chart. Sorry about that. So for this, unless you're day trading, you're looking at, get to the 380. You got a downside of 366 and then 354 and a half, and you've got an upside of 392 and 403. So, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Brenda. Um, so yeah, it's about where it was. So today it's gotten almost up to where the wick was yesterday. So if it were to close where it is now, the wicks are going to be about the same. Upside wicks are going to be about the same. It's actually going to be a slightly smaller candle. But and look at that. So if it's just, let's say that it closes and it's a smaller candle, lower and lower upper wicks and higher lower wicks. Look at those moving averages squeezing together. I'm not a fan of that, but we are kind of out of it a little bit, so that's okay. But we've got, well, there we go. We've got a triangle. So is that compression going to pop? We're getting pretty close to the point of where it should pop. We're in the zone. Um, the candle has moved since yesterday. I'm not sure what that means, Brenda, but we are in the same range. It's just a tighter range. This is yesterday and this is today. So we're in a slightly tighter range. So we would still be inside of this triangle unless we see a pop today. But we're kind of, and you can do time ratios on this if you're advanced enough to do that. But to me, as you get closer and closer to the point of the triangle, it becomes less and less important. This is kind of the right here. The next probably week or so is kind of the zone where you would expect it to pop, and it's going to be really effective. Yeah, I know. I'm not uh I do not have today's candle. This is yesterday's candle. That's why I keep kind of sliding it over so we can kind of see this is yesterday and this is today since we're missing that over here. So, all right. So, plenty of room to get some nice moves off of all three of those. Gold, I would be a little bit more conservative with myself. Q's is a little bit more volatile, but it's tech stock, so that's to be expected. And Spies is very nice. So there you go. So I don't see any other candidates out there. And we are just about to, if I can string my words out long enough, I will actually hit the post at 1 o'clock. Not quite, but close enough. But yeah, happy trading out there. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone next week. Hope you have a great holiday with family and friends. And we will see you next time.